haul in the braziers for dramatic effect. It's like, what is going on in this episode of Arrow?
All these bras marching in.
Yes.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dyster, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
No, I don't.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. And today, the part of Danae will be played by a ghost. What just happened?
Oh no! I reverted.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Halloween candy before starting the show, so I'm assuming I've been possessed by the spirit of Halloween.
And should we do because I'm assuming, hope to God, by the time this airs, there is a president elected. So we should do one of those things where we say congratulations to, and then just record both names.
Joe Biden. No, honestly, we are recording this at what feels like the precipice of making that call. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what feels like the precipice. We're recording this Friday morning when things are looking clearer in some of the states that have been kind of up in the air a little bit.
We legitimately said, okay, let's all look at the tab to find out if there's been an announcement and then record. And so in our reality, 20 seconds ago, we all looked over and then we're back into the network recording the show. But here's my question. If at any point in time I check the tab and I see something solid, do we stop the show or do we just keep going?
Because you know what's really fun for somebody who listens to the podcast but gets to it a week, a month later is to be like, breaking news.
I know. I'm talking more for us, not for...
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do your thing, Danae, Little Miss Distraction. You can do whatever you need to do. So we'll be here the whole time. But that is not the purpose of us being together this morning.
I mean, I don't think it'll be any different than her telling us about whatever video she's watching while we're talking about one of the videos.
That's right.
You guys are so tolerant. I enjoy our friendship. We get that comment a lot about how fun it is to listen to the three of us. And it's really cool. We haven't, Jonathan and I, we haven't worked together all that long. I mean, it's only been a year. So,
I mean, this podcast is a history of you working together. This podcast, began, I mean, it was one of the first times you guys ever had a conversation was when we recorded this podcast for the first time.
Well, yeah, I had met her through a Skype meeting or something before. But yeah, as far as having an actual conversation, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I super enjoy it.
I was going to make a joke about because I had listened to you on the podcast with Aaron and stuff well before I ever talked to you. And so, but it's I'm not going to joke about stalking. So that's what I didn't want to make that joke. So
how's the peeping?
Yeah. How's the peeping? But no, I just was saying I had listened to you. No, you're awesome.
Oh, you're awesome too. I actually was researching an outtake recently and I saw the how's the peeping thing came up.
Uh-huh.
And so I saw that moment in the whatever, I don't even know what movie it's from. And so I was watching that particular scene and then the how's the peeping happened. I was like, oh, that's what it's from. I mean, what am I watching? I don't even know what I'm watching, but oh.
It's Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah,
we should use that in an outtake sometime. I think that'd be great.
We should.
We should do that. That'd be amazing.
Super clever.
I have wanted to for a while to have the narrator do a Tommy, how's the pooping? How's the pooping, Tommy? Tommy. But I just haven't found the place yet. So if you ever hear that in a Sins video, you'll know I eventually found the place.
That in a Rick and Morty episode.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Who knows? All right, let's get into it, guys. Let's kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, how we felt about the thing we're sinning in general. We are going to kick it off in TV Sins world with another episode of Arrow. This one called The Climb. I think Jonathan is the Arrow expert among us.
Well, I've watched I'm actually in the process of trying to catch up with all the DC shows. That's going to take a while. But I think I watched the first 4 seasons of this so far. Maybe if I've seen some of the 5th season. I definitely seen this episode. And I had only seen it once when it aired, but I remembered it very quickly because this was like the mid-season cliffhanger episode, that year. Literally a cliffhanger. Or a cliff faller.
He isn't really. I guess when he's climbing, he's hanging off of it a little bit.
Kind of hanging.
Tommy, how's it hanging?
It's the climb.
So good.
So yeah.
But yes, I know the show. Yes.
And you know it better than we do. I haven't watched anything other than what we've sinned and the crossover episodes.
Reading comments on it, I'm not really excited about catching up with it because apparently, like that Arrow's annoying friends thing, was kind of legit. Apparently, later on in the series,
I had that in my was one of my possible comments in my comment section, just in case they got taken. I do more than one, but anyhow, I had that because if you go to that video, the first 3 comments on that are all the same joke, which is, you're predicting the future with that, naming the show Arrow's Annoying Friends, because that's what it becomes later on. So,
but it never really captured my attention the way that the Flash did, or even like Supergirl.
Right. Me too.
But it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I do think the cast overall is pretty good, especially for this type of show. But I don't know. It's weird. It's like I don't know much about Arrow in the comics, like the Green Arrow and stuff. That was never somebody I followed. So, and I just, like I said, we kind of make a joke about it being a Batman villain in this episode, because I feel like that's kind of what they did with the character. They just kind of throw in like villains from other series, but maybe Arrow does face them, and I just don't know. But it's okay. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Today, what was your experience with this episode in particularly?
This is my first time ever watching the show.
Yeah.
So...
But she watched like 3 seasons of the show.
So I started watching it and I'm like, I don't know anything. I have no point of reference. I don't know who these people are. I don't know who these, like, you can tell by the costuming, good guys and bad guys, kind of. You can tell by lingo, kind of what's going on. And so I ended up watching the first, I think I did all the previous seasons. I watched 4 YouTube channel videos of somebody recapping everything that I think I needed to know to get to the point where I was like, oh, okay. So this is who these people are. And then after I watched this episode, I was like, well, what happens? Obviously he doesn't die, right? So what happens after he falls off this cliff? And so I just put on Netflix and I had it just running in the background as I was doing stuff for a couple days. And then I got a real taste of what the show was. Like, this show is like, it leans so fully into explosions and gunfire and hand-to-hand combat and martial arts and stunts and costumes and like so much cocaine. And I was like, I think I understand why people like it because of that. And I think I understand the excitement of like, what is the mystery, like, or what was this training on this island? But it is an action version of Grey's Anatomy or something. It's a
soap opera.
It's a soap opera.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely. These CW superhero shows are very
it's on the CW. I mean,
right.
It's
which I didn't know, but now it makes sense that that's the case. You definitely get that vibe that's like, the will they, won't they, with all these different, people and relationships and stuff. I did think it was interesting to be, weaving in like comic stuff, which, as Jonathan said, I don't know anything about the Arrow world or like the reveal of him being Green Arrow, and is that cool? I don't know. But the repetitiveness of the show, it puts your brain in a place where you just don't have to pay attention. You almost know by the music cues when to look over and see what's going on, and then you can just shut it off.
It was really funny, though. Not funny, but it was, Danae watched all those episodes, and it was almost like she watched too much because like her script came and it was great, but we had to pull back on some of it because it was like way too much future knowledge.
Yeah.
Like she really got
it's
dug
funny
deep.
It's funny because like there's so much that happens, and they just, everything is undone, and it's in this magical kind of way. And when you think about like old school soap opera dramas where they would just have someone like lose their memory or have an accident and die, but then actually like have been transported to another hospital and then have facial reconstruction surgery and then show up as a different person. That's the kind of stuff that would happen on this show, but with magic and stuff. So it's definitely interesting. There's so much flashback going on. And this episode in particular starts with a flashback inside of a flashback. And when I watched it the first time, I didn't realize how over the top that was. So I really liked how Jonathan wrote that part. Like, we can't start off by having to go back, even though, because it's already riddled with going back. Every episode, it's a flashback to something else going on that's somehow related and looped into either that episode or something happening kind of in that in that time frame.
That's one thing I think why I quit watching the show too, because that started the island stuff started getting on my nerves because and Lost suffered from this too after a while, like because they started off with that narrative structure where they would always tie it back into something he was doing on the island before present day, and after a while that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner, you know, and they had to
because he was on the island and then he was off of it. And then
he went back.
And then but you have to know he has to go on because the whole thing starts with him saying like, I just got back from the island. So you know he has to go back. And so then it's very curious. There is a lot of mystery, and it is something where my puzzle brain wants to figure out the mystery, of course. But do you go back and endure the over drama and is there substance there beyond like relationship and things like this? And so I stopped watching. I think I got to, and I apologize if this is spoilers for people, but I got to the season where Ollie had like left the group with one of the girls and was trying to kind of like have a normal life, and then came to kind of like come back in and get back involved.
Felicity, right? He was he was dating Felicity. I was like, man, I'm done. I'm kind of over it. It is fun to watch the martial arts stuff though. The fight scenes are exciting, and it's so over the top with gunfire all the time, though. Everybody has machine guns somehow, and so and nothing. It's hilarious in that way, and enjoyable. It's really dumb way. I think you would enjoy, like, if any of this interested you. I think if you tried to watch like Flash or Supergirl, I think you would enjoy those a lot more because those are a little more fun. This is just so dark and like it's just. Yeah, everybody's so depressed and mad.
I second that. I watch Flash. I've watched all the episodes of Flash. I will continue to. And I watched several seasons of Supergirl before I just kind of was like, I think I'm kind of done with this. So both of those are they're more engaging on a fun, clever, I like these people kind of way than Arrow seems to me. But
in this episode was interesting. So just to kind of like transition to the episode itself, Ollie has to climb a mountain to fight to the death, to half naked, to save
we're all thankful.
We're all thankful for that. To save his half sister and his stepdad person, evil guy.
It's not his stepdad.
Okay.
It's her father.
Merlin is his name.
You mean Marilyn? But go on.
to wipe off all of their blood debt, and he's the guy that's going to go do it. So he basically confesses to a murder he didn't commit. Goes up this mountain to fight to the death. And my question is, did the other people have to climb the mountain too? That's never answered. And I watched several episodes to try to figure it out. There's like 3 other people on that mountain. The guy he's fighting and then the other 2 people to witness it. And if they didn't have to climb the mountain, like there's another way up. Why climb it at all? Why is this called the climb?
Going back to the shirtless sin, though, Danae wrote that, and I realized after I read that sin, I was like, "Oh, this is why she watched 10 more episodes. It wasn't to study.
No,
she just wanted Stephen Amell."
I mean,
beautiful men are beautiful. I love looking at beautiful people, just like everybody. But no, it was genuinely like, what is this show? Where is this going? It was more curiosity. I'm boring. I'm a boring person.
I look at those abs, and I'm like, why can't I have that?
You can.
I know why.
That's the thing. You can.
We just don't want to work our bodies.
It's quite a discipline.
Well, and he's definitely got a personal trainer too. Like,
right.
If I could have a personal trainer whipping me into shape, I could do it, but I can't do it myself.
And a paycheck to incentivize.
To accommodate it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get us into the video itself if you're ready.
Sure.
I really enjoyed this. You guys did a great job, of course. I'll start with taking pills without immediately drinking anything. I like that one because there's 2 parts to it that people have to understand. Number one, I have had such respect and awe for people who can get pills down without drinking water. Like I just have to drink, water to get the pills down in the first place. But the second part of it is your body needs something to help digest the pill. Like it's important to kind of get that. In fact, you really should eat something when you take pills too. Like the digestion process should be in full effect. But
like as somebody who takes a lot of aspirin and stuff, I can if I don't have anything near me, but like I don't feel like they go down. Like, even if I swallow them without water.
Do you ever feel like they get stuck in your nasal passage?
Yes. No, not that, but like here in the middle.
How would they get stuck in your nasal passage?
Look, I'm a big guy. Everything on me is bigger. And my nasal passage is one of those things where it's just like, when you, like, I'll swallow it and instead of going down, I feel like maybe it went up a little bit and I'll just be like, try to.
Aaron.
Yeah.
I really hope that you get some commentary on Twitter or how I hope someone can relate because I am concerned.
Yeah, like your nasal passage is all the way down to your esophagus. Is
how
that
do you
biologically
how does it
possible?
go up?
I think it gets forced up like in the swallowing process when everything kind of constricts. That it just, it kind of, and there's water in there. So
up.
like it just kind of pops up.
Like when you're drinking something though, if you start laughing, you can actually snort the liquid out. So I guess that makes sense.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's all connected. Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's just, I wasn't expecting that. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, it's never harmed me. I've always been able to snort it down, but it's just like.
No, that's definitely never happened. I have felt like it's just kind of stuck though. It hasn't gone all the way down, in my system. But
the sin was inspired because I regularly will swallow pills without water or anything, and when people see me do that, they react, and so that's
it's great. I figured that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I will say in the what are they? Are they braziers? The haul in the braziers for dramatic effect. I initially read that braziers. And so I was having a hard time understanding that Sin is the narrator, and I was like, "Oh wait, that's something else that's going on here," because I had no visual context or anything. I'm like, haul in the braziers for dramatic effect. It's like, what is going on in this episode of Arrow?
All these bras marching in.
Yes, for dramatic effect.
But it is hilarious. Like they do that though. Like they bring the braziers in or whatever, and it's like they set them up, and it's like who hauled those?
Who did that?
That's why I decided to make that part of the sentence too. But that was hilarious.
That could be code. Let her poop in peace, man. Thought that was funny.
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Yes, I figured Jonathan must have written that one.
Yes.
Once you see these as jazz hands, it really changes the intensity of the moment.
No, going back to that though, it's okay. Like that's perfect. The pooping scene was fine. It was way better than the next one we're going to talk about, where Aaron put busting grumpies or whatever. That
jazz hands thing just slayed me. Nicely done. Making a Batman villain an Arrow villain is such a great cliche for Arrow. Well done on that. Could he not come up with a dramatic entrance that didn't involve breaking glass? He will have to get replaced. I mean, it's his place. I thought that was a great observation.
He has a key.
Exactly. It was like Lincoln still including and helping Teabag out after 3 seasons of Prison Break. I'm always down for a Prison Break reference.
Yeah, I should have said Michael. And I almost asked for a pickup, but we were, I think I didn't notice it even until like the last round. So I was like,
it works still though. It still works.
I mean, Lincoln's one of the main characters.
And then finally, the bonus to this shirtless fight is if their swords fail, they can nipple fight to death because those things have to be razor sharp in this weather. The accompanying.
I remember that tickled Barrett too.
Yeah.
Like, when we sent the script to him, I remember he was.
The accompanying mental picture was a lot of fun. So
isn't it?
Yeah. So that was really well done.
Shing shing.
Yeah.
Shing 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 shing.
Jonathan, you want to go next? Did you have
I'd be
else?
out too. I mean, I'm not taking my shirt off in any. But even if I looked like that, as cold as it was, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Like, we're just gonna fight with shirts on. In fact, I'm gonna put a coat on too. Just hold on a second.
Right. How about some armor? You're fighting to the death.
I liked you mentioned a lot of them, and Danae talked about some of them, but the 4K night video of Thea killing Sarah, I thought that was a good thing to point out. Like, who's filming that? And then I also liked the variation on he will, that we did he will, but also won't. And really, I just like Danae calling out that like, but Ollie fights like shit and gets killed, like gets stabbed quickly. Like maybe they should have been more concerned about what he was gonna do. And then I really love the outtakes, and especially the happy death outtake with the bye.
Bye.
Good stuff. Danae, do you have anything to add?
I liked how Jonathan did the roll commercials for this one, where it just shows him climbing, and it's like, yeah, this visual works. Go ahead and just roll commercials, because there really wasn't that moment, you know. So I thought that was really clever. I really enjoyed the sending of all of the medical and scientific jargon. Like pointing out like they reassembled the genome, so then how does this work if you reassembled it and it could be a hamster, and making fun of, in a show they have to make up jargon, like even in Star Trek and such. And I think that's respectable, especially if they're consistent with it. But listening to the Arrow's version of medical and scientific jargon, when you can question its logic in the same episode, I think then that's a problem. And I just enjoyed the ones where we pointed that out, even so much as to like the markers that were all of Oliver's markers that wouldn't match his half sister, and just questioning that stuff without sort of logic, I thought was great.
Well, especially when you find out something like ER, they were actually saying the correct thing. And so I mean, like, it can be done. And I know some of this is dealing with technology that wouldn't exist, but yeah, it's absolutely bullshit what they're saying. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yep. But you guys kind of mentioned all the rest of them, so
I will want to say the climb outtake though was hilarious, and that was actually Ashley, our editor, added that in.
And I was so glad, because the whole time I was sitting it, I was thinking of that.
Yeah, I was too.
And I'm just glad it was in there.
We will move on to Rick and Morty, Total Rickall, doing another Rick and Morty episode. Fan favorites of these when we do them, so we love getting them out to you. This was a Dicer Watkins script. I don't think I specifically mentioned the last was a Hughes Watkins script, but since I went first, that probably people could have figured that out in the way we talked about it. But yeah, this was Jonathan and I writing on this one. I don't know, there's a lot to talk about more about how we feel about Rick and Morty, maybe the specific episode. It is one of my favorite episodes, because
I was going to say this might be my favorite episode.
Yeah,
I think it might be mine too.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a really good episode. There's a lot going on here humor-wise, which of course is one of the main reasons to love the show. But then also just this to me encapsulates exactly the recipe that makes Rick and Morty work, which is that crazy abstract sense of humor combined with trying to present crazy sci-fi situations and go and take them to their crazy final degree. And so, it's also what makes it fun to sin, because trying to kind of find cracks in those things is a really fun part of what we do, and to nitpick those things. And so I
thought you did a great job of that in the script too, by the way, as we kind of get into talking about it, because it's hard sometimes when you're sending these things and you're having a really good time watching it. And so you get kind of caught up in what you're watching, and then you have to think, oh wait, I gotta put my sin brain on and then try to figure out where the cracks in this thing is, but I'm having a good time. So, all right, let me watch this whole thing, have a good time, and then go back and watch it again,
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes that happens in these sort of episodes where you're just along for the ride.
Why don't you go ahead and take us in, Danae, since you didn't write on it? What are some of your favorite sins from the video?
Well, to start off, I really enjoyed the why do you have to throw the parasite on the table sin? That was a perfectly great, good breakfast casserole that you just ruined.
That was one of my favorites too.
Like, why would you do that, Rick? Why? The one that got me, I thought you were going in one direction. It was when there was a moment of you guys breaking down some of the plot stuff. But it was and finally a raptor. And I thought the sin was going to be going in the direction of a raptor. What would a raptor be doing here? Blah, blah, blah. But then it's talking about the photography part of it. I was just not expecting that. And I stopped the video and had a good chuckle. I also stopped the video to have a good chuckle at the sentient pencil, which functions as a working pencil for a second, because it's terrifying. Let's talk about why this is so scary. What happens if as it starts to diminish? I thought that was just really funny.
What happens when it needs to be sharpened?
And there were two other ones. I had literal laugh out loud moments. I don't want to give the picture that I don't laugh a lot. It's just when it comes to humor, whether it's a comedian or watching something that's supposed to be funny, even our own videos, I don't often just bust out laughing. But I had several on this one, so it was one of my. I really had a good time with this one. The next one that I laughed at was I'm guessing not when they're kissing, and then he goes like, "What are we doing?" And the sin is, I'm guessing not getting to see Chewbacca. Like Sleepy Gary is such a tease. I wasn't expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that got me the best is the grass tastes bad. And the sin is grass actually tastes pretty neutral compared to other bitterness of most plants. Like just the idea that the narrator has this inside information as to what grass tastes like, but not just grass, other types of grass that could be more or less bitter. So now in my imagination, our narrator for TV Sins just likes to eat grass like a cow or something. Oh my God. That one killed me. So great job.
Nice. Jonathan, what about you?
I've been a fan of the Pubes Beehole since season 1, episode 1. So I know what I'm talking about. That was great. We were kind of playing in on the whole thing. I also liked Fandom Ruins Us All. I thought was really funny. I bet. Did you actually check to see if those characters had wiki pages?
Nope. Didn't have to. I almost guarantee it.
And then Danae mentioned a few, but I also like the way Aaron read, and that's the way the sins goes.
That was good.
You know,
And,
I actually for that sin put it in my ear and then did it right after listening to him do it to try to match his intonation as much as possible.
That's good.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done.
And then the Punky Brewster cartoon outtake, that worked out perfectly. I was so happy about that. Because I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, this has got to be like a Glomer thing. And so I was like, maybe we can put something in there. So that worked out really well, I thought.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Show insinuates there's a single human being on the planet who doesn't use their phone while busting grumpies. I wanted to mention that one as well. And that'll come back in my
grumpies.
that'll come back in my keeping tabs.
Oh, man, did you look up poo terms?
Of course.
Oh, Jonathan, you're going to have to take your earphones out
No,
and
I'll
step
be
away
good.
for a minute.
I'll live.
Because these pants are as white as Christmas and I see no sign of pee. Not that I want to, but I've got a job to do here. I thought that one was really good.
That was good.
I did want to mention, because there were some things in the comments about we played the Rick saying no and then had a series of sins on the room. And the people in the comments were like, I can't believe you didn't do a no sin. And the reason
But
is...
there was one, right?
Well, no, we didn't. We didn't actually do one. The reason is because that's actually a kind of a meditative... If you see the whole thing, he actually interrupts himself saying no to say something else, like that winks at it and, you know, makes sense that he's not actually doing that. So we could have done something where, I don't know, it was... We still could have done it. We just, you know, I just decided when I was writing that it didn't work.
Yeah,
because...
I didn't want to do it either. But we had so many sins. We had like 3 or 4 sins in that one moment.
Yeah.
So
anyhow, I thought I'd mention that. Then also the show casually breaking the fourth wall, and so not being able to take it seriously, and then using that against the show when it started to sound like maybe we were going to give it a sin back. I liked that callback. That was a lot of fun. I love doing these Rick and Morty episodes. I think they are my favorite thing to write on that we've done on TV Sins.
It's my favorite.
I really enjoy it.
You super love it.
It's super, indeed. Let's move on to music video sins.
oh God,
what is this?
I don't know. What is this?
Buy one? BBY?
Baby I.
Baby
Oh my
Baby
God.
I.
This is where we all sound like the
Piper
oldest.
Rockelle. No, I mean she's a TikTok.
She's a teeny bopper.
Yeah.
Says
So-
Barrett.
It's
person.
an I, not a one. Just to be clear. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it is an I. It's a lowercase I.
So it's B by I.
It's Baby I.
That is
She's
not
just
how you
spelled
spell baby.
Well, she
So I'm
did.
just kidding. I'm just being silly.
She also put a lowercase I in there, so you know none of it makes sense.
Yeah. So anyhow, what about this song? Anybody
I
have
think
thoughts?
Barrett had thoughts, I believe.
He does.
Well, let's hear him.
He has thoughts.
He
I
probably-
don't know if you guys know this. Barrett does think. He says, "Baby I is trite teeny bopper stuff as it should be. I don't want to make fun of the actual kids, but the video is just so weird, man. This blonde kid keeps getting into trouble, even though the brown-haired kid keeps messing with him. It's about as bad as anything Jacob Sartorius would do."
I agree with that. We've covered Jacob Sartorius a couple times too. Yeah, no, it's terrible. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I know it's a kid, but it's still even in that light. Like, I think I would take who did that we covered recently, the Dance Moms, JoJo Siwa.
Oh yeah.
Like, I would
JoJo's
take
great.
her over this any day of the week, or
Well,
like
and let's-
even like
let's be clear,
early. I mean, Miley Cyrus was doing stuff at this age. So
Sure.
was Taylor Swift. Way better.
And just to be supremely clear, like Barrett was, we're talking about the music here.
Yeah.
Simply the music.
And she has a nice voice, and she might be able to do very good material at some point. But this is not for me,
Right.
obviously.
And that's the main
So,
thing. Of course it's not for us.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. I think we should go into the Sins video. Some funny stuff in there. I'll kick us off. This ain't a Prince song, man. Use your words. Made me giggle quite a bit. I love that. Now, see, if you'd invested a little more in your arts department, this poor girl could have come up with something more creative than Go Team. I thought that was a great way to point out that sign.
Yeah, I liked his delivery too. On that one.
Yeah, and speaking of delivery, I loved this is the biggest lip syncing fail since Milli Vanilli, and then the addition of "Girl, you know it's true."
I wrote that. I didn't think he would. I thought he would just like sigh at that and not keep it, but I was like, I gotta leave it in, and thankfully he liked it. So.
Yeah,
Yay.
it's good stuff. It's funny stuff. Danae, what about you?
Putting out the 2.5 minutes of the same lyric on repeat. The whole there's a nice little run on about that, and how he sent getting the messages to Piper herself. Like, why doesn't he just text her or catch her between class? Why is he so intent on throwing this paper? So those were some of the other ones that I liked.
Just Jonathan.
Well, I just wanted to say the watching YouTube videos on cleaning shit. That's true story. I've done that many times actually.
Nice.
Because I can't even tell you the stuff I've had to clean up out of carpet and table and
I bet.
Yeah, they're very helpful, Danae, if you need that. YouTube has some really nice cleaning videos.
Oh my God. I love this about you so much. It's like, when I'm stressed, I like to go to YouTube and watch cleaning videos.
No, it's not stress. It's more like, oh my God, my daughter just drew with marker on our new carpet. I got to figure out how to get that up. Which, by the way, isopropyl alcohol and hydrogen peroxide clean up a lot of stuff, I found out.
YouTube is amazing for all kinds of things like that. I actually, we got this pop-up tent from IKEA. It was on sale, and she loves to make tents. Our daughter likes to make tents, and so we're like, oh, let's get this pop-up tent. We can kind of do this cool thing in the house. And I have not been able to figure out how to put it back together because it just exploded into this massive tent, and I don't know how to make it go. I just was like, why haven't I thought about going to YouTube? There's 4 videos on it.
I also learned how to properly cut a pepper on YouTube, I should say. Can
we talk about that instead of the video?
Yeah. You expect the kids to responsibly store their weed in here. I thought was very funny. And then just the kid's name being Lev. He's like, love Lev.
Yeah.
Leave love live.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, it was very funny. It was and it was fun to work on, even though because it's so silly and stuff. So you could just kind of have fun with it. And we also, whenever it's kids, we can't we're not gonna, like he said, we're not gonna make fun of kids. So we find you have to be a little more creative, which is always fun.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of creative things, let's talk about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Lots of creativeness going in there. This was an Atkinson Dicer script. Chris and I writing on this one.
Oh my God.
This movie, man.
Had you seen it before?
I had indeed seen this movie before.
Okay, so I've read the book. I've seen the movie. This was all around when it came out. I didn't remember anything. I remember not a single thing about it.
I don't want to step on any of Danae's remarks on the movie because I know it's one of her favorites, but this movie has no idea what it wants to be and suffers so badly from it because there are maybe 3 different possible movies that they could have made consistently and made this something at least interesting. They had $100 million to make this movie and could have done something pretty fascinating with that money, I think. And just instead, it's just half the time it feels like a parody, half the time it feels like a serious romance, half the time it feels like it wants to be a horror movie. And it's just like, what are you, movie?
Do you remember when all these books were coming out, though? I know you don't read, but yeah, it was like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. And they made a movie out of that, too, which was, I think, terrible. I can't remember that one very well either. There was one, it was like Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters or something. But but like I said, I don't remember anything about it. So clearly it wasn't very memorable. So I believe what you're saying is probably true. I also remember the aesthetic was kind of messed. Like, I didn't really like, it didn't look great.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of blue. Like, it like had this like
It was
weird tint to
There's just
it.
a lot of weird choices in this movie. What did Chris have to say? I think he wrote some stuff about it.
Yeah, he did. He wrote about, his thoughts on the movie and then, some of the process behind the scenes.
Oh,
So-
he's got his own keeping tabs.
Yeah, he's got
Nice.
He usually does that a little bit where he kind of goes into something that he kind of got into, which I enjoy. That's why you guys listen to the show, so it makes sense.
Yeah, because Chris gives so much.
He does. He gives and he gives. ALVH should be a comedy. Instead, it's almost held back by its adherence to history. Certain meaningful moments in Lincoln's life are reframed as a vampire problem. And in the end, why does the story need Abraham Lincoln? I get it. Southern plantation owners, slave owners, they're ridiculously evil, and making them vampires somehow makes their evil less. Humans enslaving humans, that's always the biggest blight on U.S. history. To make them vampires just kind of makes them cheap. My biggest research moment came at a small section of the film where Lincoln is talking about how his son is, quote, no older than I was when I lost my mother. The kid shown is clearly younger than the young Lincoln they show at the beginning of the movie. Yes, this is a movie. The kid playing Abe's son is the age the movie says he is, regardless of his real life age. But it was pretty unbelievable. So I tried to figure out their ages in real life. The kid playing Abe's son was around 8 at the time the movie came out, putting him around 16 today. I even found a page from his agency that confirmed this. Then I looked for young Abe. He had only 2 acting credits, but he had a familiar name to me. His name is Lux Haney Jardine. That's
only
not going to be...
Chris would say that's a familiar name to him. No, like 99.9% of the population would just be like, I've never heard that name before.
It is a unique name, though.
It
Lux
is, but Chris,
Haney
I'm
Jardine.
telling you, Chris's ability to hang on to names and dates and average, like it's really impressive.
Yeah, it's incredibly intimidating.
Yeah, yeah.
He says that's not going to ring a bell for many, but the last name in particular is notable because there's an actress by the name of Perla Haney Jardine who was Uma's daughter in Kill Bill, Sandman's daughter in Spider-Man 3, and Steve Jobs' daughter in Steve Jobs. Anyway,
Oh, wow.
I couldn't find anything that said they were related. I did see that Perla's mom, Jenna McDonald, was a producer. So look up Lux and find an article about him winning some student journalism award and that he goes to some school in North Carolina. The article mentions his mom is, quote, Jennifer McDonald. Anyway, despite no real help from Wikipedia or IMDb, I put the pieces together that they were related and that the Lux in the article was the same Lux. I mean, no one else has that name probably. And that he had to be at least 17 to 18 years older than Abe's kid.
Not
it was
17
a lot of work for...
Not 17 to 18 years older, 17 or 18. So he's older than that would be something else if
Thank
he was
you.
actually 18 years older than the other kid.
Thank you for helping with that. Yes. He finishes by saying, it was a lot of work for one sin, only worth it for the story to tell.
There you go. Nicely done. Let's go into the sins themselves. Danae, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Well, like you said, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I saw this movie about 6 times when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there's just like a lot of meaning here for me.
Sure. Yeah.
There's such symbolism. The first time he like grabs the axe and then it comes back later.
Yeah.
We
Well,
don't
to
talk
this
about how
day,
magic.
that's why you're an expert axe person. Like, don't go to one of those axe throwing places with Danae because she will kick your tail. Yeah.
But also go them because I actually own them all nationwide.
That's true. I'd forgotten that.
So,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually insanely rich. So, I have never seen this movie before. For those of you guys who don't know that I'm kidding. So, I did talk with Aaron briefly, like, is this something to watch? And he kind of was like, well, there's just, there's vampires, jump scares and stuff like that. And there is some gore, but you guys did the whole like blurry gore stuff too. So I really wasn't invested in the movie as I was watching the Sins videos. I was just enjoying what you guys are doing. So I'll just tell you the ones that kind of stood out to me. The present day is here. And the sin is, wow, 6 minutes into the movie, I've got to say, I'm really... I thought that was genuinely funny. There's this one sin where it just goes on this like, the lead-in is like, power, Lincoln, real power comes not from hate, but from truth. And then it's like, that's amazing. Just the other day, I was thinking to myself, gravity is the natural relationship between space and matter. And it just kind of goes on.
And I
so
was the one pushing the plane, I think is how that one ends.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, there's something about like how to move matter. And I turned to crush the mat with my bare hands. And when I flew back from Nepal, I was just, I don't know why that was so funny.
No, it is. It's hilarious.
Before you protect others from darkness, you must first be able to protect yourself. And the sin is, that's exactly what the inventor of condoms said. That was really funny. Making someone sit through your slideshow, I rather enjoyed because I have been forced to sit through slideshows before.
Yes,
and that
indeed.
is absolutely a sin. There was somebody that I used to work with, and he went on like this hike and like also like this whole canoeing adventure. And he came back and he had put this whole slideshow together. And I was working at a pizza place at the time. And so after hours, everybody was like hanging out. And he's like, hey, guys, I just wanted to show you some pictures. And he brings out this kind of like slideshow thing and puts it up on like the big screen at the restaurant. And we all just sat there looking at like picture after like, here's a tree, here's the woods, here's like,
Yes.
It's like Gene Hackman's like talking about traveling in the birdcage, where he's like, the leaves changed.
It was great. If I ever see you here again, I'll have your balls as a coin purse. And then mistaking the balls for the scrotum.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
But the one that I stopped the video to laugh out loud at was the delivery of the sin where Jeremy is acting like he's drunk. Sometimes a boy gets drunk when he has to watch a movie where Vonkel remember the lingerams. It's just the delivery. I can't do it like he can. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, go at least watch the first 10 minutes and you'll see it there. It's hilarious.
Jonathan, why don't you go next?
Now let's eat our pre-battle carrots.
Right?
So funny.
In the script itself, it says, now let's eat our pre-battle carrots as the sin. And then in parentheses, Chris wrote, so weird. They eat carrots here. It's just like it's so weird. He actually had to put in the script like how weird it is. Yeah.
I also enjoyed the message delivered by my sunglasses is very hard to see. Woman sounds like she's being terminated, but she's actually being penetrated. Cliche. Jesus.
By the way, in that one, I put in the notes, you can use stimulated if you feel like penetrated is too strong. Like because it works, it works the same way, but they left in penetrated. So works for me.
No, I think that works. Joint as in I'm going to smoke a joint. Misquoting Friday Night Lights was very funny.
Cold hands, warm heart.
I also enjoyed the question of, do your punches not count if you're invisible? But yeah, the pre-battle carrots though was
was so funny.
One of my
random.
new favorite sins ever.
I did a little research on that, just to see, like, did Abraham Lincoln like have a thing for carrots? And surprise,
That's amazing.
It's not mentioned anywhere. His love of carrots.
I was like, oh my God, really?
No, that was the caterers. Hey, what do you guys want to eat in the scene? And they're like, yeah, carrots. We'll just eat carrots today. That sounds good.
Oh, mercy.
Trying to watch my weight. My trainer told me to hold off.
Abraham Lincoln is the father of exactly 0 nations. I thought was funny. The whole difference of the definition of desirable and desirous with the rhyming mnemonic device. Enjoyed that. A stovepipe hat would never hold the weight of a full-grown human, even a Mary Elizabeth Winstod-sized one. Which is it was just such a great combination of their names. It just worked really well.
By the way, another movie that wastes her. There's so many out there. It's unreal. She's awesome.
She is incredible. She's in one of my favorite movies, 10 Cloverfield Lane, right? Isn't that her in 10 Cloverfield Lane?
She's in that, yeah. She's in some good stuff. I'm just saying a lot of movies kind of waste her talent. It's like Final Destination 3. And she's also in Fargo, season 3 of Fargo.
Birds of Prey. The ability to call Lincoln Old Pennyface, I thought was fun. And then kissing another man's willy without asking permission.
That was good.
Was also really fun as well. So there you go. Abraham Lincoln, vampire hunter, or Vamperham.
Which I also
Link
felt
Fire,
stupid because I remember when I saw it on the schedule, I was just thinking like, oh, that's weird. You didn't put that in October. And then we were talking about it in Slack or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I thought he's like, I thought that'd be kind of fun for people on election day. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, indeed. Let's move on to Lethal Weapon. This is a Cher Watkins script. Barrett and Jonathan writing on this one. And it has been a long time since I've seen any of the Lethal Weapon movies. I saw them all shortly after they came out on video.
Oh, cool.
So, but that was just kind of a one-time thing.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I don't really have a lot of opinions on the movie other than I remember Mel Gibson in his early career, and it touches on this in the script, just being so dynamic and charismatic and just so fun to watch on screen. So I thought it was handled well in this video, certainly with a lot of the controversy that has followed him in his later years.
We wanted to mention it, but then we gave him 5 cents still,
right?
Which I thought was great.
So
I think Barrett said some stuff about it. If you want to read his first,
sure, yeah. What did Barrett have to say?
Lethal Weapon has some legitimately great moments, unfortunately involving Mel Gibson. So right along with what you guys are saying, but I don't like it. It's shouty and silly. That fight at the end between Gary fucking Busey and Gibson is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. I did like the scene about Donner directing The Omen. What a weird movie for him to do. And that's all Barrett has to say about that.
Yeah, this was a really fun script to write on. In fact, Barrett actually mentioned this to me after we were done with it because we are on opposite sides with this movie. I think this movie is borderline brilliant. We even take sins off for this, but there's just stuff that happens in this movie that never happens in these types of movies, like the subject matter that it goes into,
Sure.
like suicide, and depression and things like that is just really fascinating. Although some of it's not handled that great, like we have the police psychiatrist who is just telling everybody what's wrong with him, which is pretty effed up. But it's really good. I've always thought it was great. And on top of that, it's got really good action scenes in it. Richard Donner's a really good director that we kind of don't talk about anymore. He did The Omen. He did Superman. He did Goonies, all the Lethal Weapon movies. And this has always been a favorite of mine. I just love this movie. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are really good together. I also disagree with Barrett because he wrote the sin about how Christmas has nothing to do with this movie. I disagree with him a lot on that because I think it is because I think the one thing about Christmas that most movies don't tackle, other than maybe It's a Wonderful Life, is that Christmas is dark for a lot of people, right? I mean, people are depressed and people are suicidal, and so that movie, since it's going in that direction, I feel like having it set during Christmas actually pounds that home even harder, which I think is really interesting. And I don't want to make it sound like this movie's depressing if you haven't seen it. It is really fun. Like, it's really fun, but it's just, it also takes a lot of it seriously. And also the detective work is actually really well handled in this, which is usually not even paid attention to in most of these movies.
Yeah.
Like a Beverly Hills Cop or something. And they actually do, even though at times they do kind of like all of us, it's kind of confusing as to whether or not they're focused on the case or not, which we sin. But it was very easy to sin, I will say, even though I love it, it was not a hard movie to sin at all.
It's interesting because hearing you talk about it, hearing Barrett talk about it, and just trying to remember kind of how I felt about it, I think I can see both sides. I think it's kind of, for me,
absolutely.
I would need to revisit it to really know how I feel about it today. But I know at the time I thought it was a really well done and, like you said, meaningful action movie. When I saw it the first time.
And then the second one is very much just a straight up goofy action movie, but I would recommend that one as well. That's a lot of fun in its own way, kind of like Die Hard 2 versus Die Hard. I would not go past the second one. I would say avoid the last two.
Fair enough.
I had to read the Wikipedia. I need to do this more. When I'm confused, just read the Wikipedia before you start the show.
Sure.
I think that would help me a lot. And I did it for this one because I was like, what is this? I've never seen any of these movies. I have no idea who these people are, but it's like the buddy cop kind of a thing. So that helped me a ton because it seems like the more that the Sins video kind of kept going, it's like, wait, there's more? Wait, who's this guy? wait, who's this guy? You know?
Yeah.
It had that feel to it where I'm sure if you're watching the movie, they're introducing plot lines, and they're introducing, why there's a building that's blowing up and, all this stuff. But when you're watching the Sins video, it's just like, oh, this isn't just a linear story. This has like a whole bunch of stuff going on. And then by the end, there's this dimpled bad guy that they're brawling in. I don't understand anything.
Gary Busey.
So,
Gary Busey and Greg's dad from Dharma and Greg.
Right.
the two are the two bad guys. He's the general.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Danae, you want to kick us off with some sins you liked from the video?
Sure. I can do that. I'm super prepared for that.
I can go first if you want.
No, I just had to get back to my notes.
Oh, okay.
Surprising your dad in the bathtub. Let's give Daddy his cake when we can see his junk.
That was so
Who does
funny.
that? Does anybody just barge in their families? Like, that's insane to me.
Different families have different comfortability with the
That's true.
human body. I mean, that's
I don't
dad's
know, but
lounging
when
in a bath naked, but
I just want some me time. Like, I'm just
Sure.
going to lay here in this water that's getting colder and colder, but I just don't want to get out because then I have to go back to adulting, Like,
Yeah.
stay out of my
I
bathroom. Leave me
don't even
alone.
remember whose sin that is because I remember Barrett and I were on the same page with that scene because we both wrote a couple of things
yeah.
just on
Although
that scene.
I guess if you're bringing me cake, maybe I would change my mind on that.
let's be clear. She's talking about family members bringing her cake. Let's just
Yes,
Danae did not
yeah.
just invite anybody to break into her bathing time for
That's
cake.
true.
Just want to be clear.
Exactly.
We don't take baths. We take showers.
That's
so
right,
that'd be
that's right.
really weird if my daughter came in while I was taking. I don't know. I would think that'd be a little weird.
Yeah.
Although
I don't know.
it tastes better in the shower, I'm telling you. Eat that cake in the shower. It's going to taste a little
Cake
bit better.
would not taste good wet. There's no way.
Who says
There's
the
no
food
way.
has to get wet? You just eat it in the shower. That doesn't mean it has to be wet.
God, you're weird.
I guess it depends on your shower. There are some people that have
In a
the
good way.
showers that are directly overhead, and then like they're shooting at all angles. So it
it's
depends
just,
on your shower.
Maybe it's just me being that tall. The shower hits me in the middle of the back. Like I don't like the food is safe. Like,
Oh my god! I was in the restroom the other day while my husband was taking a shower, and I looked over and he was like hunching down to like get his hair wet.
Mhm, yeah.
I just remember thinking that's so sad.
It's life, man.
We need to try to figure out if we can redo our bathroom so that
Rain shower, man. I want a rain shower so bad,
Life
but
goals.
it's never
We
happened.
Because we had our shower custom built, so it's a walk-in shower, and so we actually raised. Even though my wife and I aren't necessarily that tall, my wife's a little taller than me, but still, it's just nice to have it higher up, so you don't have to.
Yeah, but then you can't eat cake in the shower, so I don't know. I'm kind
That's
of
true.
torn. I'm kind of torn.
But can you eat cocaine? Probably not in the shower, but that was another sin.
That
eating
was a good
cocaine.
one. Yeah.
The marquee sin was fun. I always like those because those are things I would never notice. But just to pause and point out that the Lost Boys on the marquee was like 33rd, and so why would it be on the marquee?
Yeah, or why would it say this year's hit? Yeah, we both wrote stuff on that too. And then what was interesting was we caught this when we were watching the edited version. Actually, Barrett caught it. I didn't. But that movie is called The Lost Boys. And so we were like, oh, we missed that. Like, it doesn't even say the on. It just says Lost Boys.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I had written something too because that was around Christmas. And that movie had come out in June or July. So the idea that it would even still be in that theater
Right.
was ridiculous. It was just, there was all kinds of stuff with that.
Sticking
But
your
the
bare
one Barrett
hands.
picked was great.
Sorry. Sticking your bare hands into a piping hot oven to see what's for dinner.
Yeah.
Who does that? It's craziness.
Danny Glover.
The lead-in is, why can't I have a beer and not smoke a joint? It's not Coke, And then Jeremy's like, we'll get there fast and then we'll take it
God,
slow.
it took me a second to realize what that was about. Like, I have to admit, when I read that, I was confused. I was like, oh, he's reading this like Kokomo. Okay.
The one that killed me, literally killed somebody in the video, which was, no, not the nog.
Oh, God.
I
That was
lost it.
great.
That's a good one.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like someone wanted to catch cocaine haze in the form of a spotlight and then shine it through crumbled heroin and strawberry Pop-Tarts. Such great description. I love that kind of stuff. Awesome. Movie teaches all the wrong lessons to the end of Die Hard. I thought that was a great observation. And then how dare you? Somebody just send puns. And I mean, really, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
We
what-
knew that would offend you.
What are we doing here? I mean,
That was ridiculous,
I feel
though. Where he's
personally
like
attacked.
telling a joke.
Guys, what are we even doing here if we're not going to love puns? What is even the point?
Did you like that joke?
I did. It was really funny.
Was it get the flock out of here?
Yeah, it was get the flock out of here. I thought you meant your joke about puns. I actually did like it, but
No.
get the flock out of here is I guess okay. That works. It works. This works. Jonathan, did you have any others you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I liked Don't Buy Me. Oh, this goes along with before the Oh No Eggnog. The one before that killed me was Don't Mind Me. In the midst of this intense discussion about heroin shipments and the death of my daughter, I've got to take a swig of this delicious party nog. Bringing a station wagon to a gunfight, I thought was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And assassination sweaters. And then my favorite was, I know this looks dangerous, but it's actually how Gary Busey hails taxis in real life. Was my favorite, I think, that the Bear put in there. So, no, we had a lot of fun with it. It was a really fun one to work on. Even though we heavily disagreed. I felt like Jeremy and Aaron on all their scripts.
That's a fun though, right? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those, it really is one of the evidences that people really shouldn't take this too seriously is the fact that we can have genuine opinions that are so drastically apart. But guess what? It's still fun for both of us to nitpick a movie. Like, that's just a fun, silly thing to do. And it doesn't mean the movie's awful. It doesn't mean the movie's great. It just means it's fun to nitpick movies. Like,
well, yeah, because and everybody's different. Different movies work on different people for different reasons. I mean, I totally get why Barrett doesn't like it. I think he gets why I like it. You know, it's just, it's it's fun. It's life.
It's all peace and love.
The only one that's mean about it is Danae.
Yeah. It's tough being on a script with Danae. She's just, she really gets
Especially
in there.
that she broke my heart during the Riverdale script. I still remember that. She was so mean to me and my love of Riverdale.
All the ones
I'm totally joking.
More like River Dull.
What's funny is that I've blocked that entire thing from my mind. So when you said it, I'm having this rush of memories of watching that show. I'm like, no.
That's actually my favorite. That might be my favorite script of ours, though, because you did the CW bingo thing. That's where
that was fun.
Yeah. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to talk about a part of the process of sending this stuff. Maybe a fun search we did, deleted sin, anything that you guys want to talk about. Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
Danae, why don't you go?
Oh.
Danae, what do you got? What tabs are you keeping this week?
Well, I think instead I'll talk about a deleted sin that came from Arrow, as is referencing something that Jonathan said. This came from the script. The lead-in is like, Sarah is dead. And then like, what were you talking about? It's kind of at the beginning when the two girls are talking in the graveyard. And my sin was like this sort of like yawn and then, oh, sorry, I often forget to allow myself to experience any real emotion while watching the show, considering every horrible thing is basically undone in upcoming episodes. Now, I disagree that this one was cut. But that's okay.
That was a Barrett call, right?
Yes, and so, but thank
Jonathan
God Barrett
passing
doesn't
the
listen to
buck
the show.
right off the bat. Jonathan, like, wasn't me, man. Wasn't me.
I was trying to. I didn't remember. I felt like that stayed in at least until we got to Barrett reading it. That's all I remember.
Yeah, Barrett says we're getting dangerously close to future knowledge stuff in the script. I'm personally okay with it, but there's a lot of stuff that doesn't pertain to this episode itself. And we had a lot going on in the script too. The funny thing about it, and I didn't like push a case or anything like that. I could have easily done that. But the reason I didn't is because it was already in the script. We already kind of joke around about things getting undone with the Lazarus pit and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why I was like, yeah, that's fine.
Because we kind of already referenced it anyway. But this sin talked about more. It was more about the emotion. Like, it's just hard to get invested in a show when you know that everything that you think is going to happen or that's important or valuable or new is undone so quickly. And even just watching one episode, I realized that. But in watching the 10 episodes that I did afterwards and then the recap videos, it is such a crazy, just this back and forth, like bipolar, manic experience. And I really liked that Sin said that. So after Barrett pointed it out, then Jonathan flipped on me and he cut it. So
we probably should have kept it in.
It's totally fine. I like to get to tease you.
Well, it sucks. I mean, so many. I mean, we do lose sins. I mean, that's that's an unfortunate part of this for various reasons. We have too many that are alike, or we need to cut the script down just to tighten it up, or
you hate me.
Yeah, that's usually what it is.
Usually it's that.
99.9% of the time, it's I hate Danae. And no. No,
it all goes back to Riverdale, man.
I would say out of everyone who takes a lead on a script, out of all 6 of us, I think I leave the most in from the other writer. I'm just going to say that. Maybe Chris. Chris leaves a lot in too. Because I always feel bad. I'm like, I I should just leave theirs in instead of mine.
Oh my God. I like how it was just quiet and you're like, I'm just going to say that.
I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say it.
Why don't I think it's right now that I say it, though? I think it's probably Chris. Chris is probably the nicest about that. But anyway, no one's being mean except for maybe Barrett and Aaron.
No, I did do a lot of research on Arrow, but most of it was just stuff that had an immediate payout in the script. There wasn't really anything too interesting. And again, because they undo stuff, it doesn't matter if I found something out. It's like it's immediately replaced by something else that's more important or the updated information. So unless, I was to tell you about stuff that's happening, it's so convoluted. So that's what I will talk about for that section today.
I think the craziest thing about that show is how they early on made, and we send this when we send the pilot, they early on made Oliver like a murderer. I mean, he is a full-on murderer, like early on. Like he kills a lot of people. And then they kind of had to like
take
backtrack from that. It really doesn't work. And so it's like every time I see like, Felicity, who's like this really like sweet person and everything, when they eventually get into a relationship, I'm just like, that guy's like basically a serial killer. Like, this, right? Like he's like he's murdered so many people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that show makes some of the weirdest choices I've ever seen any show ever make. But I mean, it has a lot of fans. So
Sure does. What's your keeping tabs, Jonathan?
The only thing I really did was kind of going off that Lost Boys thing, and I ended up not using any of this. Plus, Barrett had already written something that kind of tapped into this. I'd looked into the films that were released in 1987, and I think 1987 might be my favorite year. Like the movies, the years since we've been alive. I'm almost positive 1987 is my favorite year, at least for me personally. I feel like 1987 really kind of sculpted me into a movie lover because this is just a smattering of what came out that year. Lethal Weapon, obviously. Princess Bride, which we just talked about like a month ago. RoboCop, Predator, Untouchables, Princess Bride, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Angel Heart, Evil Dead 2, Raising Arizona, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Full Metal Jacket, The Witches of Eastwick, Dragnet, Roxanne, Spaceballs, Adventures in Babysitting, which is actually a really, really good movie that people don't give enough credit to, Inner Space, The Living Daylights, The Lost Boys, Back to the Beach, Stakeout, The Monster Squad, No Way Out, The Big Easy, Matawan, Fatal Attraction, Hellraiser, 3 O'Clock High, Barfly, Hope and Glory, Prince of Darkness, The Hidden, Less Than Zero, The Running Man, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Throw Mama from the Train, Wall Street, Moonstruck, Radio Days, September, Broadcast News, Empire of the Sun, and Good Morning Vietnam.
I'm 100% sure you just listed every single movie that came out that year.
No, I did not. That is like that's like not like there's so many past that I still like either love or really like.
That's fun when you kind of realize that like it's in your sweet spot and just like if you're
and those are just like a lot of those movies are ones that like in high school and college and childhood through various like and even in my adult life I've gone back to the most, I think, and they have like a lot of them have like I have a lot of special attachments to a lot of them. It's just that like the 87 is just my year. So
nice.
That was fun to go back, and now I want to watch like all these movies and don't have any time. So
yeah, I know that feeling. For sure. I had a little bit of research I did on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. One thing I would mention, I guess just quickly, is Alan Tudyk shows up in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter as Stephen Douglas. And I was doing some cast research, and I realized that he was not listed in the cast. And so I was just trying to figure out, wait, that was Alan Tudyk, right? And then I was like, well, let me find Stephen Douglas and see who played him. And Stephen Douglas isn't listed as a character in the movie. And so I just kind of did a little bit of, quick Googling or whatever. And there is no explanation other than that just sometimes happens when actors are just like, You know, you don't have to put me in the credits, and they do it for favors. Like sometimes actors will do things for favors and not actually get because I guess once you're in the credits, different things have to happen. Like, you know, if you become credited, you know, for contractually, things have to get handled differently. And so apparently.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that. Is that what it is? Usually when people choose to go uncredited, it's not, because it doesn't always seem to be like they don't want to be associated. I mean, they're in the movie, so they can't, you know. It's just weird that you don't get credited.
Yeah, I think
some actors that don't get credited have like pretty big parts in some movies. And
well, that's not a tiny part, you know. And Stephen Douglas is a huge part of Lincoln's life, and he's in, you know, a couple scenes. So, anyways, I found that interesting. But I did want to talk about busting grumpies, which I did get from a list of pooping euphemisms or poofemisms, as I will now call them.
Puns.
Yeah. There's around 70 of them. Do you guys want to pick a number?
Surprised there's that few.
Hold on. Is this like that sex list that we did where we have to like pick a couple numbers? Sort of thing?
Yeah. You want to pick a number?
Okay. How many are there?
There are. Oh, of course, there are 69.
Oh my God. Oh wait. The answer is nice.
Yes, exactly.
I want to do number 22.
Okay. Number 22 is launch a butt shuttle.
That sounds like something Danae would say. Number 5.
Gotta go launch a butt shuttle. Number 5. Sorry guys, give me a second. I gotta go build a dookie castle.
My God.
That's number 5.
I don't like that one as much. It's dropping the kids off at the pool there.
Yes, of course.
I'm sure it
number
is.
16 is drop the kids off at the pool. Even better than that is to take the Browns to the Super Bowl. I think is a really
that's
fun
actually quite funny.
That's clever.
Yeah, it's
what
really
about 41?
clever.
That's your favorite number, Aaron.
41 is my favorite number, and it is not. I can't imagine ever saying this other than it's just as an inside joke because I don't think you would understand. But sink the Bismarck is number 41. Nice. So give me a second. I got to go sink the Bismarck.
What's 13?
13 is do the do. Is number 13. So lots of fun stuff in here. Poke the turtle's head out is one I've heard before. And I chose busting grumpies because I have heard it before, but it just makes me laugh. It makes me giggle every time I hear it. So I thought that was one. Deploying the USS Brownfish is another one that I considered for a second. Slop some bum slugs.
No.
Make some underwater sculptures. You got to do some underwater sculpting. Although if you're sculpting, you're probably doing it wrong. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I got to make like Snoop and drop it while it's hot. Is another one.
That's kind of funny.
So anyhow, euphemisms are fun, and we need to finish this show quickly because the barbarians are at the gate. So let's
that sounds very D&D.
I think Danae's gonna put launching a butt shuttle into her vocabulary.
Yeah. I think that one's making the cut right there.
You know how they have that like on Twitter, like it has a thing that says what you are. Like maybe that should be part of my description.
Like when Justin's in the shower, you're gonna run in the bathroom and go, sorry honey, I gotta launch a butt shuttle.
Yeah. Have some cake. We'll make up for it.
That's right. Here's some chocolate cake. All right, let's move on.
Here's some hot chocolate cake. Moist.
Let's move on to the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
All right, we're each going to talk about a single comment from the videos for this week, or possibly other options as well, because those comments can come from anywhere, including, as Danae is going to let us know, the reviews on Apple Podcasts.
I like here like one, but I have 3 new ones. Thank you guys so much for reviewing us on Apple iTunes. I know there's a lot of platforms where you listen to our show. There's, YouTube and then all of your podcast players. But as always, the king of podcasting has always been iTunes because they have like a ranking system. So we appreciate your star reviews and then your actual like worded reviews there. So I decided to go check those out today. And there's a few new ones that I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
The most recent one is from Halloween. It says it's from Russia. And it says, please don't hurt me, CinemaSins scary dude. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to you, Bale from Discord via Apple Podcasts. We appreciate your review.
Was that 5 stars?
That's 5 stars.
Nice.
I know. Also, one that was perplexing but fun came a couple months ago. No, last month. It says, "I'm here for this" is the title. 5-star review from Absolute Emerald here in the U.S. who says, "Don't let anyone bully you into a format. Do whatever you want. You're doing great." So thank you.
I feel attacked by that comment a little bit.
This one, though, is kind of more of the standard one. Also, from a couple months ago, it says, "You got to take a look at this podcast." 5-star review from Danae is not at all creepy fan on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for that. Saying,
Nice.
"I love CinemaSins. Was not aware I needed to know how the sitting process worked until I listened or started to listen. But hi, I see you. We see you. We see all of you guys. Thank you so much. Also, you can listen to our show on YouTube, and you can like those videos, and that helps us to get seen as well. So, okay, that's all.
Very nice. Jonathan, what do you got?
This was, and a lot of people seem to like the hamster sin, Danae's hamster sin. So we had Fuzzy Striped Tail said, "In addition to being a murderer, Oliver's pet hamster had a ball recording, incredibly important plot twist so as to use said recordings to frame others for the deadly crimes that the hamster actually committed."
Nice. Nice. Yes-anding. I love the yes-anding.
That's so good.
It's good stuff. Mine comes from the Rick and Morty video, and Lynn says, "Aha! You said there were at least 7 that's racist in that picture, but that's where you're wrong, bucko. I see at most 6. Might as well completely redo the video now," which I really loved, because that is bravo to me, because it is both kind of nitpicking at us and also nitpicking at YouTube comments a little bit too, where it's like everything becomes super important. So well done, Lynn. Well said, well worded. Appreciated it very much.
I did want to mention one real quick one, though, that I just thought it was funny. This is one of those where people always, in all the comments, we've talked about this in the past, they'll ask us to send something else. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed this a few times. This show on Sci-Fi that was called Happy. We've been asked to send that a few times, but somebody, Retro 882 on the Arrow video put, "Please do Happy. It would make me very, and then that was it.
Nice.
I thought that was clever.
It is clever. And I will just point out, just for anyone who might be listening, that I am now not going to bully Jonathan for doing 2 comments into, sticking to any kind of a format. I will instead allow all sorts of freedom to have the show be whatever it wants to be. So just for no particular reason.
But you could also edit the comment out, which you might do. So.
I like how we're also skipping over that I did 3.
That's why I felt comfortable doing 2.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. All right, let's move into Beyond the Sins.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're each going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we've seen recently. I'll go first on this one. I saw a movie from 1943. It's a musical called Stormy Weather, and I'd never seen it, but had a friend suggest it. And especially knowing how much I love singing in the rain and musicals and those kind of things. If you don't know anything about Stormy Weather, it really was a movie made in the early 40s to highlight African-American performers and entertainers. And it is narratively nothing. There's no narrative to it. It's really just about a guy kind of having memories about his rise through entertainment or whatever. But it features some of the most talented humans I have ever seen dance, ever seen sing, ever seen play instruments. Like, it is an astonishing look back at a talented group of people that very easily could have been forgotten to time, or in many ways at least not as respected as they are had this movie not been made. And so I guess it's kind of a 2-part thing to say, I'm so glad this movie exists, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to see it. Is it a great movie? It depends on how you define that. If you're looking for a story, there's no real story here. It's not like there's great acting here or any kind of the things you would normally put in the category of this is what makes a great movie. But it's such a valuable experience in many ways that, yeah, I think I would say it's a great movie. The final performance, and I should look up the performance. I know Cab Calloway is in there. Lena Horne is a major part of it. I should look up, some of the others. But the final dance performance, I think it's Jump and Jive, maybe is what it's called. I'll have to look it up. Is the most astonishing dance I've ever seen on film. Period.
Whoa.
Like, it's mind-blowing. And you may have seen clips of it. There's this moment towards the end where they are descending a staircase and they take turns leaping over each other and landing in a split down the stairs. It is mind-blowing. Yeah, well, you just go, after the fifth time they've both done this, you're just like, how are your legs even still on your body? And they get to the end and they just kind of do that slide up thing and then just keep going. Like, it is some mind-blowing stuff, and I would highly recommend it for that. Trigger warning. It was made in the early 40s where different things were considered okay with the portrayal of African Americans in film. There are moments of words being used that you will not be used to. I'm not saying like the huge major slur you're thinking of is not in the movie, but just the fact referring to African Americans as different words that are now passé.
Got you.
The idea of minstrelsism is very prevalent here. The idea of we talked about Childish Gambino, This Is America recently. A lot of what he's doing in that video is representation of how Black people were expected to perform in many of these ways, like with the wide eyes and the different kind of thing. And so there's an uncomfortability to knowing that there is that kind of element to what's going on here. So balancing that with just the ability to see how talented these people are and give them the respect that they truly deserve is something you will be dealing with. But I did want to at least mention that because, it was made in the 40s. But it's for me, definitely worth a watch. Again, it's called Stormy Weather. It's 1943. And I wanted to kind of get that out there.
I've seen it a couple of times. It's been a while since I've seen it though. But yeah, no, I think everything you said was dead on. It's very enjoyable. Like, it's very entertaining. Yeah. But I don't know how great of a movie it is. But like you said, that's however you just describe. That's your own definition, I guess. But yeah, no, everything you said is dead on. That's a good recommend.
Lena Horne, Cab Calloway, I mentioned. Also Bill Robinson, Fats Waller, who is incredible. Katherine Dunham, Ada Brown, Dooley Wilson. Just a lot of talented and incredible people doing. In fact, I think I remember in researching this after that Frank Sinatra said, or no, maybe it wasn't Sinatra. I can't remember if it was Sinatra or Fred Astaire. It may have been Fred Astaire. Who said that final dance scene is his favorite dance he's ever seen put on film as well.
I mean, I know nothing about dance, but it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, there you go. Stormy Weather. What about you, Jonathan? What do you got?
No pressure, Danae, but I also have a movie from the 40s. So I don't even know. That's so weird. I didn't watch anything new this week, but I watched some older stuff. But so it's November, which for film noir fans, it's Noirvember. If you choose to celebrate that, I do. I mean, I'm not saying like I watch a noir every day, but I probably do watch more than I normally do in a month because it's kind of fun. But I watched for the first time. I had never seen this. I've owned the Criterion Blu-ray for like a year now, and I've never watched it. But it's a movie from 1945 called Detour. It's directed by Edgar G. Ulmer. It stars Tom Neal and Ann Savage. It was written by Martin Goldsmith, who actually came up with the story of one of my favorite noirs, Narrow Margin, which was remade in, I believe, 1990 with a movie also called Narrow Margin with Gene Hackman. And Detour is... One thing it's got going for it, it's 69 minutes, which nice, right? But nice in that it's 69, nice that it's only 69 minutes.
Right, yeah.
It is a super... I mean, like, I don't know why, like, can you imagine a movie coming out now at 69 minutes? Like, occasionally we get like a 75 or 80 minute movie still, but yeah. That's about the least. But it's perfect. Like, it doesn't need to be any more than it is. Like, you're not missing anything. And I even read that they cut quite a bit because there was a lot more, there was a lot of dialogue scenes that they felt slowed the pace down. And so they ended up just cutting it out and cutting it down. And I think that benefits the movie because I think that's the thing about this movie. It feels like this really, like, basically you have a guy who loses the love of his life, decides she's going to leave him and go to LA. He's in New York. he's down on his luck, and he decides he can't be without her, so he's going to find his way to LA to propose to her. So he hitchhikes across country. One of the guys that picks him up is this bookie that's also headed to LA. The guy, the driver, the bookie dies under normal circumstances, basically, but Tom Neal feels like he's obviously going to be blamed for it because he's, just a down on his luck guy. And so he basically makes a few decisions at that moment that kind of set in motion everything else that happens afterwards. And then Ann Savage shows up as a hitchhiker he actually picks up, and she gets involved in everything as well. But the whole thing, it's just really frantic. It's like really, it's the perfect kind of noir. It's the kind of noir that I really like, where you just never know what's going to happen. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to give away anything, but it's a really fun, twisty narrative. It's got two really good central performances. Ann Savage might actually be one of my favorite femme fatales now. I really, really enjoyed it. I get why people think it's one of the betters. I don't know. I know more recently it's kind of gotten more of a reputation. I don't think I get why people don't talk about it in the same vein they do something like Double Indemnity or like The Big Sleep, because I think those movies are just a little more complex narratively. This is really simple, but that's not always bad. And this is like the perfect version of this story. So that's a high recommend, and it's really easy to find. It's on Prime. I think it's on the Criterion Channel if you have that. I think you can even check it out on Hoopla if you have a library card. It might even be on Tubi or something, but it's very easy to watch, and it's 69 minutes. So nice. Yeah, nice. It's we've covered episodes of TV shows longer.
That's right.
And
That's
Danae lets us know when we do. So,
dude,
no, I'm kidding.
I am such a complainer when I get assignments.
Oh, you weren't on this one though. The worst though for me was Suits. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This thing's an hour and a half.
Yeah, the Suits pilot is an hour and a half long.
Those pilots, man, they kill me sometimes. I'm
Ridiculous.
like, okay, I'm going to knock out this script. It's going to be great. And I sit down and I'm like, 90 minutes?
Well, you're expecting 41 minutes, 42 minutes. And then you sit down and it's 78 minutes. What the hell?
Why?
Is this a CinemaSins script? God.
Why?
Anyways.
Name of the movie again?
Detour, 1945.
Detour. All right, Danae, what is your movie from the 1940s?
All right, I have the best 1940s movie ever.
Okay.
It's called Cursed Princess Club, and it's a web comic. It's a weird crossover.
We didn't even have the internet in 1940.
That's so wild.
Weird.
That's so crazy.
It was really ahead of its time.
Was around then?
I have, you guys know I love webcomics. You know that there's a app called Webtoons that I love to, find new content on. And I've not talked about many that I actually keep up with. I've talked about several, obviously. One that continued to be recommended to me was what called Cursed Princess Club. And just based on the title alone, I was like, nah. And then even based on the artwork, I wasn't really drawn into the artwork. Nah. And then I decided one day to just go ahead and read the first 3, installments just to kind of give it a try. And I instantly fell in love with it, and I realized why people like it so much, because it has really good themes, and it has clever humor, and unexpected ends each panel. Like when they finish the episode 1 or entry 1, at the very end, there's always some kind of a fun little joke at the end. It's lighthearted. It's an easy read. But I think the dynamic part of this, and the reason that ultimately I would recommend it, is I really genuinely think the themes are needed. It doesn't shy away from hard conversations, but how the artist, whose name is Lambcat, how this person draws and also writes, it's quick and simple. I think that this would be a major, major recommend for anyone who struggles with how to fit in any way, shape, or form. Just how the development of the story continues. We're talking about concern with appearance, concern with fitting in, parents giving kind of being abusive and how they talk to you, or their expectations of you and how you handle that. But it's all approached in a very direct and, I'm going to say, lighthearted manner. And it's just really cool to see an artist go at these topics inside of this really delightful world. Just to kind of give you an idea of the central character, her name is Gwen, and it's really interesting. They live in this pastel kingdom, and there's like the plaid kingdom. So it's kind of simplistic in that way. And even sometimes in the drawing, you think it's kind of simplistic also. It's not one of the most gorgeously drawn things ever, but it's well done and it's cute and adorable. But she lives with her other two sisters who are like the normal princesses, and she is just very different. But nobody in her family sees anything different about her. And that's one of the things I immediately fell in love with, is even though she is, by quote unquote standards, a very disturbing looking individual, her sisters and her brother doesn't treat her like that, and her dad doesn't treat her like that at all. So when someone outside of her world comments on her appearance, then things kind of shift and change. And she has this club that she finds called the Cursed Princess Club, where other individuals have been cursed, or they're not beautiful, or something is wrong with them. And through the relationship with them, she learns to love herself. Mm-hmm. And her relationships with other people begin to develop and shift and change. So it's just fun. I really am enjoying it. Again, it's called Cursed Princess Club. It's a read that every week when the new one comes out, I read it immediately. It's one of the ones I'm enjoying the very, very most. And it's got a really great amount of humor in it, in my opinion, as well. And especially if you've got kids, young kids, I think male or female would probably enjoy this. It says Cursed Princess Club, and it does have girls at the center, but there are also males at the center who are also dealing with their own insecurities, and those are also right in that forefront. So it's definitely not shying away from what it means to question yourself and try to find your identity, which is great. So that's my recommend.
The Cursed Princess Club. I will mention, because I did look it up, and I do want to give them credit. The Nicholas brothers are the tap dancers at the end that do the final performance in Stormy Weather. Jumpin' Jive is the name of that if you want to look it up, but that's the Nicholas brothers. So cool. I wanted to shout that out. That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure that you are subscribed, and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything else you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can also hang out with us on Twitter. We're at CinemaSins BTS for the show, and then all our personal Twitters. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
TENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, Shower Cake, and myself, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, but it's not even Thanksgiving. We talked about how much candy I had on the previous episode, so I thought I should do a candy update for everybody.
Yes, please.
Did you actually get rid of it all?
We had about approximately 650 children visit our home.
So, yeah, was he keeping count?
Well, we had counted the candy beforehand, and then we counted the candy afterwards.
Oh, he gave the exact same amount of candy to everybody? Gotcha.
2 per child. And he was insistent that he asked them what 2 pieces they wanted, and then he got it out of the thing for them. So he handed the candy out. So, like I told you, he's been waiting for this Halloween dream for years.
So was he out there for 12 hours? Because, I mean, if he's 650 kids and you're asking every kid what they want.
We do have a shit ton of candy left over. Like, we'll make use of it one way or the other.
You should hand it out outside of dentist offices.
Congratulations on your teeth cleaning. Here.
Or just give it to Aaron.
No. No, thank you. I don't need those calories hanging around. I love candy so much. I love Snickers, Reese's. Mm-hmm. Those are my 2 like major, like if they're around.
Snickers.
I can't help it, man. Like
Snickers was my big thing for the longest time, but over the last like 10 years, I switched over to Milky Ways.
Milky Ways are fine, but I can ignore a Milky Way. If there's a Milky Way sitting there, I can be like, yeah. If there's a Snickers bar sitting there, it getting eaten. Hershey's chocolate.
Yeah, Hershey's. I mean,
you
Hershey's
put a Hershey's bar out there.
Yeah.
man.
Are you a Rolos fan? I love Rolos.
I do like Rolos. The Hershey's thing is interesting for me because I enjoyed Hershey's chocolate bars, okay, until I learned that if you actually eat them as intended, like with the little squares, like if you take one of the little squares off and just like let it melt in your mouth rather than chewing it, it is the most glorious taste over your tongue that I've ever had. Like Hershey's chocolate melting in your mouth is just brilliant.
It's so hard to do that though.
It's not for me, man. Oh man, not for me.
I mean, my wife makes fun of me because I chew down on ice cream. So, like, I just chew everything.
I don't know why, but that just made me think of the first time I was dared to bite down on tinfoil.
No.
Have you ever done that, Jonathan?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, long me when I was a kid. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's the worst.
I think we're done. Now. I can't continue.
I've only ever done it one time in my entire life, and it was when I was a kid, and I will never forget it, and it was awful.
It's like putting the feeling of nails on a chalkboard in your mouth.
It's so wrong and strange.
Have you ever licked like a Duracell to see if it still had life?
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's practical. That
never worked for me. I tried, but it never worked. Did it work for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you get your tongue on both ends of a now it has to be the 9 volts. That's what it works with.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it only works with 9 volts.
All right, everything is making sense now.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I definitely tried with AA.
Why isn't this working? Why can't it?
So when you said you have to get your tongue on both sides, I was like, what? How does that work?
That's like a stupid thing that gets under my skin is that everything takes different batteries. That pisses me off to no end.
Yeah.
Like smoke alarms should be able just to take like 2 AA's.
Everything should be AA's.
Or whatever, AAA's, something. Everything should be 9 volts. I don't care, but it should all be one thing. It's
your car should run on 15,000 AAA batteries.
There you go. That is a little different, but like electronics.
Can you imagine if we had standard just AAA's? Anything that's a battery has to run on a AAA.
Oh my gosh! Just changing out the battery on a car when you have to do 75.
It's like which one of these is dead? Maybe 14,000 of them are still good.
Just send me over. I'll lick it and figure it out.
Right.
They're all bad. Now, I feel like I need to tell Justin what happened. So I take a couple screenshots and I text them to her on accident.
Oh, my wife does that all the time.
Danae Hughes. You sent her screenshots of her own conversation?
Yeah. And then I said, sorry, I was just wanting to send these to Justin to update him. Have a great day, love.
Well, at least this isn't somebody you have daily contact with.
I'm sure.
No.
And you weren't saying anything bad.
No.
But so it's fine.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm at her door dropping off my child for childcare that day.
Texting mishaps are real and they're fun in hindsight, but they are terrifying in the moment. When I was managing a radio station, I had one of my workers send me a text that was intended for her husband after I asked if she wouldn't mind covering like another 2 hours at the station during the afternoon. So she was intending to send her husband a text that said, I'm going to try to get this as correct as possible. Dicer needs me to stay over this afternoon, so we'll have to put off our sexy time until later.
Hey, at least you knew they were having fun, you know?
And I just texted back, wrong person.
Oh my God, she must have been mortified.
She was mortified.
Oh my God.
And what's funny is it's like, I assume you have sex with your spouses. Like, this is not like new information, but it's so private.
What makes it worse is it's like inside the Christian culture.
Right.
And you don't talk about that stuff.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if it was just your buddies or whatever, you'd be like, cool, right on. Hey, sorry to interrupt. You'd like make it light. It wouldn't be the big deal, but
and also I'm her superior at the station. Like, it's like she texted back eventually after just like, all sorts of emojis. She eventually
my
texted back, "Please forgive me for not looking you in the eye for the next 3 months or
7
whatever."
years.
Yeah.
Oh shit. The other day, Iris was doing this thing where she was saying, you know, you are mommy, you are also Danae. Daddy is daddy, he is also Justin. And then he was going through she was going through the Bommy and Bobo are also Bonnie and Hammer and like all this stuff. And she gets to Aaron and she goes, Aaron is also Aaron Dicer.
Yep.